How y'all feeling this afternoon? I want to thank all of you so much for being here on our kickoff day. It's been an exciting day. I stepped on some of the sessions. The discussion was amazing. To see you guys all come together, people from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, different places, and talk about some of the issues that really affect us. And think about how movement school can be a part of that, and all of us can be a part of movement school. To me, it was like, you know, a little dream. Got a little sign over there that says dream. To me, that was a little dream come true. I think for both of us, and kind of thought about how this event was going to go. You guys made it incredible. I'm looking forward to this being not the end of something, but the beginning of something. I'm going to give one last plug for those of you who are interested in becoming part of the Campaign Fellows program. The applications are live now. You can go to our website, www.movementschool.us, and there you will be able to apply to become a Campaign Fellow, a 10-week program to train you to become key staff on progressive races across the country. That's one. I'm going to hand it back to Ilona now to introduce our very, very special guest before we get on to our entertainment section of this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone give a round of applause for Dave. Y'all, you don't understand. Dave is my partner in crime. He is a co-founder with me of Movement School. We built this together, and it means so much to have you all be a part of it with us. And I really meant what I said earlier. We can't build a movement without the people. And each and every one of you, I really want you to take that ownership. This is yours just as much as it is mine. And I'm so happy to see so many different faces from my past, from my future, from people I've never even known. And I welcome you all. This is your home. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future. And we're going to make sure Movement School is here to stay. So, without further ado, we're getting into our amazing performers. And like I said, give them as much enthusiasm as possible. They've been practicing for so long, so hard. I'm going to introduce some special guest. Well, a special guest, and then that special guest is going to introduce another special guest. These two people mean so much to me. They've taught me so much and have given me an opportunity in spaces where I'm not supposed to be in. And they've really pushed all that aside and let me be in the epicenter of that. And for that, I appreciate them so much. And I'm so happy that they're here supporting Movement School, supporting all of us. So without further ado, Senator Gustavo Rivera.
Give it up for Ilona, por favor. Mr. Berger, I have been consistently impressed by you, and this certainly does not take away from that. This only adds to it. Thank you so much for bringing us all together. Give it for her once again. So this is the moment where you look upon me and you know what an old fogey looks like. And the reason I say that, I am incredibly happy to be here and let me tell you, I've been in the Senate, many of you know, or some of you know, for 8 years. And in that time, I have so much looked forward to seeing a room like this, not during an election season. Right? So folks in this room, all the way back to 2010 when I ran and won against a guy whose name I can't remember. I really can't. And my constituents can't either, which is the point. But there's some people in this room who were there with me in that battle against a dude that was not supposed to be beaten. And I will refer back to that battle because even though I slayed a dragon, there's somebody that slayed like a whole bunch of them and a big father dragon, but we'll get to that person a little bit later. But back then,
all of these individuals came out of the woodwork. Some of them were right here in these neighborhoods. Some of them were in other parts of the state. And they all came into the Bronx, knocked on doors with me, and helped me win. And I still thank them to this day. For a matter of fact, I still meet people to this day that I have never met who told me, I went into your district and I knocked on doors, and I thank them. Unfortunately, after the election, many of them went back to their particular neighborhoods, knowing that they've done a good thing, but then kind of forgetting that this needs to continue, that this needs to be built over a long period of time. And sadly and unfortunately, while there have been many of us that have been fighting for the issues that you spoke about today, whether on issues of education or healthcare or criminal justice reform, etc., 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 sadly and unfortunately, in this borough, a lot of these conversations did not really move forward. And sadly and unfortunately, the place that I went to up in the state Senate, some of those conversations did not move forward either. And many of you noticed that. And the reason you're here today is because you not only recognized that that was necessary to be changed, but the reason you're here today is because you recognize that we must continue the work to continue to build, because this is not something that can happen just in one election cycle. You know that whether it is on issues of education, of taxation, of criminal justice reform, of environmental justice reform, etc., these are not things that the powerful want changed. Campaign finance reform, in particular, maybe. Not something that the powerful want changed. But you demonstrated, like you did in that little race, because technically, compared to the one that I'm going to talk about in a second, was little. In 2010, you demonstrated that that could work, that you could bring people together and beat someone or something that didn't want to be beaten, did not want to be defeated. You were able to do it. So now we all have to continue building. And the work that we're going to be doing, hopefully, over the next couple of weeks and months and years, is about making sure that folks like myself and my colleague in the state Senate and all the folks that you sent us, and the majority that we have today, we have to make sure that those folks trickle down into city council, into assembly, into district leadership, and all the way down. Because the only way that we change that structure, as you know, is from the bottom up. Right? You've already had some time to kind of think about this, think about all this. The only thing I will say again is that in my day, because I remind all of you that you need to stay off my lawn. Please stay off my lawn. I turn it on all the time. Please get off my lawn. Stay off my lawn. Yes, I am. You should stay off my lawn. Please just stay off my lawn. It's a beautiful lawn. Let's take care of it. Please stay away from it. I'm saying I'm old. I don't know if you got that. Yes, so stay off my lawn. So that's one thing. But then the second part is the important part. I'll finish and say one more thing, and then I'll introduce our very special guest. The work that I've done for the last 8 years, before I became a senator, the work that I did to get there was I actually was an alchemist. I learned how to get other folks elected. And I didn't think I was going to get elected myself. I did not seek it. It became an obligation because of the Captain Scumbag that I had to beat back then. But I would not have been able to do that. I would not have been able to know the type of people to surround myself with, how to actually do the work, how to raise the money right, how to knock on doors right, how to talk to press, how to do all those things if I hadn't been an operative before. So the work that you do, hopefully over the next weeks and months, and the ones that you started today, is about doing that. About learning the technical skills that are necessary to actually get other folks like us elected, like you elected. Not only that, but to find the knuckleheads that need to be unelected and make sure that you can build something to unelect them, like y'all did just a couple of months ago. Which brings us inexorably to someone who's over there in the corner. Now, in 2010, and I sincerely mean this, I've told her privately and I will say it publicly. In 2010, we did slay a dragon. But in all honesty, it was like a puppy-sized dragon. He was a scumbag. He was a scumbag. There's no reason. There's absolutely no. I'm not saying he was a scumbag. He was an absolute scumbag. But when you think about it, and for those of you who don't know, my guy's name was Pedro Espada. I do remember his name. But look back on little Pedro. Pedro was not really all that powerful. He had some money in the bank, he was ruthless, and he was feared, but he didn't really have governmental power because he didn't really seek governmental power. He liked titles, he liked having a nice office, he liked having a nice car, he liked having some money in his pocket, but he didn't really seek to use that to actually change governmental power. He didn't particularly care. As long as he got a call, nice titles, nice things, then that was it. But fast forward a few years, and there was someone else who was in a position where he did use governmental power. And he knew how to use governmental power. And he knew how to ask for money, he knew how to demand money, he knew how to sit on millions of dollars, he knew how to make a threat, he knew how to make sure that people didn't oppose him, he knew how to smile at the people in his district. He knew how to move like big checks that actually got cashed to nonprofits and organizations all across the district. He knew how to take care of his people. And then somebody recognized that all that was bullshit and that needed to be taken out. Because that person uses governmental power with no interest in real policy to actually stop things that we need in the state to have changed. Voting reform, for the longest time, didn't happen. The Reproductive Health Act, to actually codify Roe v. Wade, didn't happen. The DREAM Act, to allow access to educational funding to undocumented kids, didn't happen. The Child Victims Act, to actually make sure that people that have gotten sexually assaulted when they were children actually can bring those cases much later in life when they become more comfortable with the idea of coming against their accusers. Didn't happen. And then somebody said, I gotta do something about that. And I gotta stand up against that. In an environment where the person is popular, knows all their constituents, knows how to bring checks to all their constituents, has a lot of money in the bank, feared, and completely impossible, and drew a district, by the way, which is almost impossible to walk the whole way. So in that environment, it wasn't a puppy dragon. It was a real big one. It was a smile. Where are the nerds at? Where are the nerds at? There you go. There's a nerd right there. From Lord of the Rings, okay? From Lord of the Rings. It was a small, ladies and gentlemen. It was an enormous dragon that was supposed to be unbeatable. Oh, yes, another dragon? Yes, Christina Hernandez. Who's awesome, by the way. I don't know if you know Christina. Christina Hernandez back there. If you want to know about communications, about messaging, that lady is fantastic. Another amazing lady to get to. So in that environment, there came a person that said, I have to do this. And I can do this, and I must do this. And all of you believed in her, I believed in her, I watched her from afar, and a little tear formed in my eye. Every time that she would kick somebody's butt, and she would just knock on more doors and do more work, and she's unstoppable. I think she's got a little bit too much energy, if you ask me. But, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my friend, my ally, my colleague, New York State Senator. How gorgeous does that sound? Alessandro Biaggi!
To be civically engaged and civically active on exactly what Gustavo said, on an off year where it really maybe seems like it doesn't matter, but it all matters. So I want to share a little story with you about how I'm here, how I got here, because a lot of you I have not met yet. So about a year ago, I decided that I was going to run for the seat that I'm currently in. But what got me to that decision was exactly what Gustavo has said, which was that after the 2016 election happened, I came off of the campaign and I went back home to my district, where I'm 4 generations, and I looked around to say, well, what's going on in my backyard and what can I do? And as a lawyer, I was working on legislation for the governor, and different bills started to come to my desk. The DREAM Act, and Sanctuary Cities, and the Reproductive Health Act, and the Comprehensive Contraceptive Coverage Act, and a whole list of other things that everybody looks to New York and thinks that we already are safe and have. And nothing was passing. But I thought, well, if I work really hard and put my head down, I know the Democrats will bring these bills to the floor for a vote. Not only did the bills that I just mentioned not come to the floor for a vote, at least 25 other bills didn't make it to the floor for a vote. And when I looked around to see what was going on, what I realized was that there were 8 state senators who had been running as Democrats, were elected as Democrats, and then were going to Albany, pulling the curtain, and voting with the Republicans. And it wasn't until 2016 happened that people started to realize that this group of 8 Democrats, called the IDC, was blocking. It was the reason why we didn't have any of the things that we care about in the state of New York. Now, why should any of us care, or why did that even matter? Because at a moment like we're in right now, where we have a federal government that is literally off the rails, the most important thing that we can do in the state of New York is have strong laws. And these 8 people, but specifically this one person that I ran against, believed that he was more important than the 20 million other people in the state of New York. And so basically sold everybody out in his district. Now, I left my job working in the government to run for this seat, but I have to emphasize this point because I think it's important for you to know that I'm standing on this stage, but that doesn't mean I'm above or elevated. I had absolutely nothing, okay? I had no money raised, I had no office, I had no team, I had no communications plan, I had no strategy, I had no field plan, and that's where Alona comes in. I had literally nothing. Yes, we should give Alona a round of applause. Okay? But what I did have was this gnawing feeling of something is not right, and I can do something about it. And so I started my campaign literally at my dining room table, okay, with a computer and a pen and a piece of paper, and I started to have the discussions. And then I moved to somebody else's dining room table, and we started to have some of those discussions. In fact, one of those people is here today, Jack Marth, in the back right there. He's one of the reasons that I'm standing on this stage today. It's true, no deny it, but it's true. And I share this with you because I really want you to understand that when I say we had nothing, we had none of the tangibles, but we had all of the intangibles. We had the passion, we had the fight, we had the fervor, and most importantly, we had the people. So towards the end of the campaign, when things started to really, really pick up, what I started to realize was that during the whole time we had been campaigning, I always felt less than, or that I didn't have enough, or that even though I knew we could win, it was still going to be a mountain that was going to be really hard to overcome. And when we got to the last week of the campaign, I have to share with you that I have never felt more moved or like something was more possible than in that moment. And it wasn't because of the dollars that we had in the bank, even though I will say that I am 100% in support of and will fight for campaign finance reform. You still unfortunately need dollars to move campaigns until we get to that point. But it was the people. It was literally the hundreds and hundreds of people who knocked on doors, who talked to their neighbors, who wrote postcards, who made phone calls, who did everything that they possibly could to raise awareness. And I think the moment when I realized that we were onto something was when we started to knock on doors, and the people who were answering the doors were saying, I can't talk to you right now because I'm doing this phone banking for Biaggi, I have to go. And this was happening door after door after door after door. And the reason it was happening, though, is because all of us decided that instead of maybe thinking that each individual one of us did not matter, we put our sneakers on and we went to the door and we knocked on the door and we knocked on the door and we knocked on the door tirelessly and tirelessly, door after door after door, recruiting and enrolling and saying, do you understand? Do you know about the IDC? Do you know what's at stake? Do you understand what's going on here? New York State doesn't have a Democratic state Senate. Isn't that crazy? And people would think, oh my God, what's going on? And at the end of it, when we won, what we literally proved was that people are the political currency of our time, not dollars, not special interests, not lobbyists, not groups of people who have had this hold on the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and our entire government. It is literally us. And so the fact that you are standing in this room today on a Saturday when you could be anywhere else says and speaks volumes about you, because this is how it begins. I cannot tell you how many trainings and programs and just different types of things like this I have done to even get to this point, but this is just the beginning, okay? This is just the beginning, because now we have a Democratic majority in the state Senate, but we still, yes, it's amazing, but nobody's coming over the mountain to save us. There is no cavalry. It is literally up to us, which means that all of the issues and the things that we care about, all the reasons why we knocked on those doors, fully funding our public schools, universal health care, making sure that our immigrants are protected, and on and on and on, are never going to come to the floor or pass if we don't make noise and create a movement around every single one of these issues. And so I'm honored to be here today, but I want to really give the honor to Alona, because it is because of people like Alona that people like myself and people like Senator Rivera are even able to do the work that we have been put there to do, because it takes a literal army and an army within your own team to push that rock up the mountain when you have only a couple $100,000 against $3 million, when you have only a little bit of experience versus 24 years of experience, when you have, your portion of the community versus a whole other slew of the community who knows the person you're running against. But it takes people like Ilona and Miguel and all of you who literally put the time in to do this, because this is what it is literally all about. So one last thing, and Samalise and Michael Belzer as well, who I just see, sorry, right there. Okay, one last thing. Just to highlight, as if you didn't already know, why Alona is so special. Alona, at the end of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign, which we should also give a round of applause for, where everyone was exhausted and wanted to just take a pause, I started to say, okay, who else can we join? Who else can join the team to help us? And everybody that I would call, Alona. And so I was like, I have to meet Alona. I have to meet Alona. Because everybody talks so highly of her and says we need Alona. So Alona comes in and she's like, listen, I'm kind of trying to dial down. We just went through this really big campaign. I was like, okay, great. How many days a week do you want to work? She's like, well, work part-time. Great, done. And the dedication that came out of Alona and how she, literally, I'm not kidding, transformed our entire team to understand, you might have the goals, but let me make you see the goals from this angle, was so clear and apparent to me that on election night, on September 13th, when the polls had just closed at 9 p.m. and we had no idea what was going to happen, and we're sitting on the curb waiting, and Alona has 103 fever, and she's running up the hill, literally running up the hill to us, saying, okay, we have these numbers, we have these numbers, because she did not want to just throw the towel in and give up, because she wanted to make sure that the campaign went over the finish line, and that the last final tasks were actually done by somebody with integrity and dignity and who understood the rules, which is also a huge part of the process. Because that is the only way that we can actually grow this movement. So with that said, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you, Alona. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Movement School. I'm here to support. I'm here to share any information and wisdom I possibly can, because this is just the beginning. We have a lot of work to do, and we can only do it with you. So thank you.
Doing the work out there. So please, a round of applause for all of you. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our MC for the night, Patrick, because we have some amazing performances for you.
Hey folks! Ooh, that's loud. That's scary. Alright, Movement School, how y'all feeling? And I'm not going to do the annoying little louder thing. Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming out on a cold day. Shout out to Senator Biaggi and Rivera over there. Great job. Great job, Alona and Gabe. Shout out. These folks, they work so hard. I've seen them. It's really impressive. Thank you so much, really. This means a lot. There's been a lot of talk about people power. It's meaningful. This is our money, folks. They have a lot of money, we don't. So we need y'all. Let's keep building the movement. We've got a great DJ here, Dr. Bougie. She's going to be putting some music for y'all. Yeah, give it up. Go ahead. Don't forget about our beautiful stuff over here. Tag everything. Tag your friends. Be really annoying about it. It's how you spread the word. It's okay. Yeah, great. So our first performance is Bonafide Rojas. He was born and raised in the Bronx. He's a published, yes. He is a published author with 4 collections of poetry. And he is a firm believer that poetry is a tool of reinvention. Please welcome Bonafide Rojas. Thank you.
Hi everybody. The senator said everything I was going to say as an intro about thanks for being here on Saturday. Thanks. Whoever your writer is, good job. When they give me the mic, then we can start. Even though I can do this one. Before I start, give yourself a round of applause for being here. It's correct that you can be anywhere you are here right now. But yes, I'm a poet. Been a poet a long time. And when I got that invitation, I was like, oh, what's that, Mom's name Ursula? I go, oh, you're from the Bronx, you know where Ursula is. And you're from the Bronx, you knew someone who went to Ursula, who dated someone from Ursula. My best friend went to Carmen. No, I don't like going with you, Ursula. You know more on, that's much better. Do you have any educators in the house? Any educators, any teachers? Give yourself a round of applause. Being a teacher in New York City is not hard. So you have to rely on the MBA and for another conversation. So this is for the teachers as well as the students. I'm standing in front of a class society has deemed derelicts and hoodlum, and I am their teacher. I'm writing a poem that will save the world, and they say it has to be as good as a Nas rhyme and have more emotion than Tupac did. My class consisting of ex-gangbangers, graffiti writers, drug dealers, and students who have traveled too much in the public school system. They are my students. And as their teacher, I've traveled as many roads as they have, and I stand in front of them without fear, because they can smell fear. I am them 20 years ahead of poetry being a left turn I made at 17. I tell them that road is approaching, and all you do is take that road so fast your passion will catch up to you. I tell them your metamorphosis, you can change your name, your place of rest, your careers, your goals and strive, but that has seemed so unattainable for so many years. One student says, how? How am I supposed to do that? It's easy for you to say that, but I have one kid, one gang after me, and no job. How the hell am I supposed to go anywhere but down? And I ask them, how bad do you want it? In the beginning, all I have is poetry. Everything else took a back seat. Girls, family, and work. That's the part-time for 6 months and begin 5 for writing on the job. I tell them, use your connections. Intern somewhere. Learn to live. Live to write. Write to love. Love to learn. This is the last day of your life. What are you going to leave behind? What will be your legacy? And they stare at me like a rabbit in the headlights and say, I don't know. I tell them to open your chest and let what it falls out, let it fall on the page. Let the page be a doctor, let the page be a therapist, let the page be a lover, let the page be an enemy, punch it in the face, let the page be the best friend that will stab you in the back, the page be a Prozac, the page be a hip hop, the page be a rock and roll, the page be that fancy ride you're always talking about, the page be that bling bling on your wrist, let the page be the underground beat that you're about to rip, let the page be a word of biography. Tell them who you are. Tell them they're wrong for labeling you. Tell them, fuck you for giving up on them. Tell them your life may not be worth shit now, but tomorrow gives you hope, so you won't take a life today or the next day. Tell them you'll be here forever. Tell them you're the ones that create beautiful art from stark reality and scared the shit out of them. Tell them what love, no matter what anyone says. Tell them what love, and you'll write. Pen in hand, no case of structure, no case of spelling, no case of grammar, never coming off the page, and then the first student gets up. And their mouth open wide and says, I want to live. I want to love. Repeat it 100 times over. I want to live. I want to love. And they ask me if that was any good. And I tell them, it's the best poem I've ever heard. Thank you. So, artists and politicians have really interesting relationships. So, I like when New York people. Now, in other terms, so this poem goes out to the kind of like living embodiment of bullshit that is Ricky Joselo, the governor of Puerto Rico, who can kiss my ass, and I hope he posts that because he knows that. That's the worst. So this is, El Mojro in Puerto Rico is one of the 3 oldest structures in this hemisphere, with like a church in Santo Domingo and another church in like Brazil. So this is called at the top of El Mojro. Today, we celebrate the death of the past that has haunted us since the very beginning. We mourn the living and wash our hands of all the names that try to destroy us. The ventriloquist is on stage, and we don't care about a puppet government, politicians, governors, or presidents, president company excluded, because we can all see the strings. The laws they pass rhyme with eradication, annihilation, and extinction, and taste like biting apples. These money-grubbing bastards are so scared of being bankrupt, yet they owe billions to other countries. Say we owe billions to them, they're delusional. Their heart is weak, their vision of the future is bleak like an unnamed catastrophe that scourged the island to a burnt-out cinder, inhabited by the corpses of dead corporations. Our sky is shrouded in toxic dust particles. A gold coin is placed on our tongue. We hold oil in our cheeks. We light candles for the people who never come back from war. The public government wears wood dentures. Poison the water we drink, chemically create the food we eat, sharpen their silver spoons, pour wine into the skulls of dead monarchs, and they stand there, hideous and forsaken. Think of us as cattle, rattle, profit, loss, consumer. We are not here for the slaughter. We are not here for the slaughter. So when facing down the barrel of a gun, hope they're a bad shot. Hope they're not just following orders. Hope you look like their child. Hope they had an amazing day. Hope they realize you're not the person they're looking for. Hope they know this is not the old Wild West. Hope God intervenes even though you're an atheist. Hope they love your luxurious hair. Hope you're not holding a wallet. Hope you're not holding a water pistol. Hope you don't have candy in your hand. Hope you don't get stopped at a traffic light. Hope you don't have fear under breath. Hope they don't think you're a terrorist. Hope they don't think you're a communist. Hope you don't think you're an independentista. Hope they have some humanity left in their trigger finger. Hope you wake up from this alive. At the top of El Mojro, you can see these politicians walking around smelling like corruption and massacre. They hold bone marrow in their glasses, bow before their own skeletons, eat the bark of dead cherry trees, take a casual walk in a cemetery, crushing the bones of dead nationalistas. Their mouths full of declarations smell like vomit, carry blood in their pockets, brush their teeth with scalpels, wash your clothes, circle destruction of Palestine, Chicago, Baltimore, and Vieques. They laugh at the death tolls, eat their own shit to survive, sacrifice babies for immortality, destroy the dignity of the poor, paint the self-portraits of maggots, lay their bodies on dead goats waiting to be resurrected, so when the stock market crashes again, they can sink their teeth into everything, everywhere, and everyone. At the top of El Mojro, we wash our hands of their existence, we wash our hands of their name, and we walk into the ocean and bathe ourselves in freedom. Thank you. So I'm not always angry, but like 70-30 maybe. But one of the things that I think when we're doing organizing work, when we're doing social justice work, when we're working on things that are intangibles, right? We're working on intangibles, we're working on ideas, and you know, there are people before us that knew that and worked their whole lives and may have never seen that come to fruition, right? So one of the things I like to talk about in my work is optimism, right? This hope that we can get things done. So this is for everybody here. This is called The Amazing Day. And again, thanks for coming out. This is the day we rise up in the morning, full of wonder, staring at the sun, grateful for the dreams of the night before, still intact like a crystallized spiderweb. We heard no gunshots last night. We heard no screams. And the mirror showed us an older version of ourselves. This is the day nothing breaks. Nothing will break on us, not our hearts, our lives, our family, our bodies, our homes, our children will grow from every scratch, fall, slip, with no genetically modified assistance, no corporate sponsorship, no breaks, crack, gash, split, rift, rupture, fracture, tear, but only cures, revivals, renovations, reinventions, renewals, and regenerations. We will be full of miracles, no heart attacks, no diseases, no Alzheimer's, no HIV, no smallpox, no STDs, no diabetes, no influenza, no chemical labs of destruction, no pharmaceutical business profiting off our sickness. There'll be no sick. This is the day that no one gets shot or killed. We'll be bulletproof, foolproof, and celebrated like a shining Saturday night. We'll grow flowers from our palms, find pens that never run out of ink, hear our enemies say they love us. All the trains and buses will be on time. We don't have to worry about our bills. There will be no bills, and our bank accounts will be sexy. This is the day that being optimistic is not looked at as strange, not looked at as delusion, but necessary, as breath, like a paid lunch break. Poetry will be fed with pan y café, where art is cultivated by everyone, even by people who don't enjoy it but understand the need for it. This is the day we create new harmonies for the new songs, for our new skin, with new eyes, so that we can be seen independent of any doctrine or government. We'll destroy all the jails, build more schools, build more gardens, we'll plant so many flowers, we'll tear down all the empty condos and skyscrapers, build parks in their place, build homes to love and reclaim these lands. In the name of the people, we'll free the people, rehabilitate the concept of freedom, and rescue those who have trouble understanding themselves. It'll be fantastic. And this is the day that we know policing of our bodies. We can be anyone, pick and choose the dream of our own making, no judgment, no stigma. We can love and be with anyone, no supremacy of any kind, no hatred, no racism, no bigotry, no sexism, no homophobia, no transphobia, no banks, no capitalism, no Republicans or Democrats, no politicians or presidents, no dictators, monarchs, no gods. This is the day we forgive our loved ones for not being loved ones. But we'll still accept them and accept ourselves because we are flawed immensely, but still pure visions of joy. And this is the day that no one goes hungry here. There'll be no gluttony, no starvation, or commercials about feeding a child and throwing food out. If not purchased, water is free, air is free, food is free, love is free. This is the day we become more human, more humble with ourselves, use our imaginations for beautiful moments, to discover how our emotions work, how we hold ourselves more accountable, give ourselves time to understand how love changes, and every time changes us, and we'll be grateful we even made it this far. And this is the day we'll explore every inch of the universe, travel the world, see how everything is connected, how we were wrong about everything, how we are a microcosm of a microcosm of a microcosm, and we'll restructure our egos because it made us think that we were center of the universe and we were so light years from the center that we'll feel foolish, but yet no shame in being part of the universe. And this is the night we lay down in the evening, full of wonder, staring at the moon, grateful for the day. Spiderweb still intact and crystallized, and we heard no gunshots. We heard no screams, and the mirror showed us an older version of ourselves, and we found it amazing. We found it so, so amazing. Thank you.
Wow. Give it up for Butterfly and Rojas one more time. Yeah, right? I'm scared to follow that, honestly. Give it up for representation, honestly. To quote him, no supremacy of any kind. I really like that. All right, so clearly this is a combination of politics and art. So it's only right that we have an art auction. All these pieces around you are up for auction, okay? And all the proceeds go directly to the artists. We're all local, all right? How you can do that, you can text the artwork, the title of the work. So say if it's titled Black Panther, you want to text that and the bid number, $20, whatever, $3,000 preferably, to 281-545-7586. All right. Yeah, y'all wrote that down. I know you did. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. 281-545-7586. And you're going to text the artwork title and the amount of your bid. All right. We got a few artists here. I didn't get everybody's name, but we got Rosanna Victorio. Her IG is at Rizabel. We got Arthur Banach, and he's at Arthur Banach on Instagram. We got at isam.creations. We got Charles Chezan. And coming up here, we've got Mati. She was born in Bangladesh and raised in the Bronx. She's working on making music to empower women and raise environmental awareness. Please give it up for Mati, everybody.
This is really tall. Wow, I'm really short. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Mati. My Instagram is ami.mati. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Ilona, for reaching out to me right after that last performance, and I'm just like really grateful to be here. So these are some songs, and I'm just gonna sing and try not to talk as much because I'm not really good at talking. So let's go. You can hit it. Ready to party? Clap your hands, come on, let's go. Come to me, my love, I'll show you the world. All that you want to be is right in your heart, your heart. So tell me, why do you want to hide away? Why don't you want to share the pain I see in your eyes? Why do you want to build a wall? Brick by brick, I break them down. You can't run from me when you're down. I'll be there to hold your hand, to hold your hand. Say my name, say my name. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Come to me, my love. I'll show you the world. All that you want to be is right in your heart. Open up your eyes, baby. All right, our beauty you are. It can't stop you now because you are a star. So tell me why you want to hide away. Why don't you want to share the pain I see in your eyes? Why do you want to build a wall? Brick by brick, I break them down. You can't run from me when you're down. I'll be there to hold your hand, to hold your hand. Say my name, say my name. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Keep your feet on my bones that you hurt. I'm trying to be the one you can trust. Keep your feet on my bones that you hurt. I'm trying to be the one. And when you're down, you guys know the song yet? I'll be there to hold your what? To hold your what? To hold your hand. That's right. Hold your hand. Say my name. Say my name. Don't be afraid. You guys are awesome. Thank you. This song, I love this song because it was very uplifting, and I kind of wrote it myself, so I really like. It's awesome to get that same energy back, and I'm just really happy to be here and to be a part of this. Yeah, let's hit the next one. So we got. You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. Talking loud. stay blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yo, give it up, man. Covering the originals and the covers. Oh my goodness. All right, so that was amazing. Mati again. Big shout out to, and I'm sorry for reading on my phone, but you know, I'm not doing this. Bear with me. So big shout out to the director of New York City's Light Brigade, Athena Bright. She created these forecast light signs you see over there. Yeah. Please you follow her at Athena Bright. It's Athena Bright. Just like the word. Give yourself a name. All right. So next up, we got Anthony Colon. He is a passionate father who's from Yonkers, New York, who genuinely cares about his people. Please do follow him on Instagram at StonyTony914. Give it up.
Ew. The crowd looks a lot smaller when you're in the crowd. I feel like everybody's up there too. How's everybody feeling tonight? All right? This is my manager, Cameron. Also, someone who records a lot of my things. You got it? All right. This one's called Food for Thought. Bear with me. This, some food for thought. But with my pencil as my utensil, I'm not spilling no beans, I'm just serving you lentils, hoping these seeds will sprout. Giving you knowledge without the mileage as I proceed the route. I see snakes that'll do me like Caesar for a Caesar salad. Where there's cheese, there's mouse, I mean mice. Why should I be suffice? Why should I be grammatically correct? There's judges that's giving out bad charges. When does the battery connect? When does the heart and anatomy connect? It seems vertebrae aren't vertical anymore, so I don't need x-ray vision to see what they stand for or see what they stand on. I know where they 10 toes, so tell me, how do these wounds heal? See, these moments of silence after this violence is the problem. Remaining quiet is of alliance with those violent, so this elephant in the room surrounded by those lions, claiming we ain't kings to our own jungle. Sure, we got the key to our own struggle. Swamp. Thank you. So I wasn't thirsty coming up here, but for some reason, y'all make me really thirsty. This next one, there's a lot of children in here. I'm gonna do my best to keep it discretionary. This is called 4 in the morning. Not that kind of 4 in the morning. I would know better. My poems are for the constipated toilet sitters at 4 in the morning that just need to get this shit out. See, these bottled up emotions that carry triggers, only nothing by the bottom of the bottle that kills my liver is a letter in the bottle, strung out by the ocean, only to be left floating on the bank of a river, so I count. Count on who? Count on you? Never could I, why would I? Cause we don't see eye to eye, and the picture quality is that of shutterflies, so I shut my eyes and listen closely. Feel vibes as they approach me. This energy absorbing is getting boring and it haunts me. And I blame only myself. Playing victim to a system that's controlling the wealth, so it's man versus mirror, woman versus mirror. And with that perspective, it couldn't get any clearer that they fear us. Don't want to hear us, come near us, notice the us for those that's incoherent. Without unity, there's no you and me. Shit. Put that in my eulogy. Live for the scrutiny, die for the comfort. Soul not for sale. Quality is substance. Too bad not the same for equality and justice. Shit is just us in this goddamn toilet at 4 o'clock in the morning. Thank you. So I've never had an MC before. I usually do like the introductions, so I felt extremely gracious that someone could bring me up on stage. I want to thank everybody that came out for the movement school. Ilona, thank you. This is definitely something inspirational. This last piece. I drink until I can dance. Then I dance around words to the point where every refreshing conversation is of brown water because Hennessy is cheaper than therapy. I speak so loud to those too shallow to know what depth is, and at the age of 28, I've had the wind knocked out of me enough to dull my solar plexus. I've got gray hairs like silver bullets trying to kill these monsters within me. I say ouch before it happens because pain is a foreshadow of life, a movie you've never seen once unless you've seen it twice. My dream vacations are under willow trees. As I sit and I ask myself, if I'm a human becoming or a human being, small distance of a difference between that of an artist or a con artist. So is it fair that I'm the heir to a family inheritance that isn't there? Is it fair? I say yeah, because happiness is habitual, and a poor man's mind is a rich man's residual. Peace.
Hey, I actually could attest that Hennessy is indeed cheaper than therapy. That's why we need Medicare for all, right? Anthony Colon, that was amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so big thanks. If y'all, there's a photo booth over there. I hope you saw it in two parts. Shout out to Dynasty Rental for that. Thank you so much. Next up, we got Piece by Piece. Piece by Piece is a productions company that is merging the arts with social justice and activism. Piece by Piece harnesses youth's power to transform their world into peaceful communities through various artistic forms, creating responsible, reflective leaders who are empowered to make a difference at the levels of self, community, and global world. Give it up, Piece by Piece.
We're here at Movement School in the Bronx, New York, where people are coming together to learn about organizing around shared values. And here is one of the participants. You participated.
I did.
That's wonderful. And tell us your name and the session you just came out of.
Sure, my name is Jasmine Sanchez, and I came out of the Power Dynamics Caucus.
Can you talk about a little bit about what you guys talked about while you were in there?
Yeah, definitely. We were really just trying to identify the reasons why there are power dynamics within our government, whether it's because there's a succession line that's imposed, this perceived notion that if you're not of a specific race or class, that there's a barrier for you. And basically it was just trying to figure out, there was many, none of them were shocking to me because we kind of figured those things out.
Were there a lot of discussion around women's issues and gender?
Definitely around gender, how even when we're having conversations with men in the room, how women feel inferior, and just really gaining that confidence and education that we need, and just pulling up a chair and bringing it to the table. If they don't offer you one, just bring one in and sit there. You know?
Oh, that's great.
Just having that confidence to do so.
How did you get involved in Movement School?
So I was part of the AOC campaign out here in the Bronx, and I pretty much attend anything that the organizers and anyone that was around at that time.
It must be very encouraging to have had a victory, like working on an AOC campaign and then having her win.
Oh, of course. I think that, it was amazing. It was amazing. The organizing that went behind it, and then just the shared values that everyone had was great. And being around folks that were so
passionate, maybe, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, being around people that were so passionate about the same values, and just wanted to work and learn, and no one had like an ego. Like, I think that was the best, and it expanded outside of the district because a lot of people are from all the boroughs, and
we're all very excited in Brooklyn about this.
Yeah, we're very excited, and the stuff that we learned on this campaign, we're bringing it over into the other boroughs. So,
what would you say to people who are watching, who aren't here today, who might want to get involved in their, local races or local activism?
Yeah, I just think it's about educating yourselves on what the process is, really looking towards organizations and clubs that have these civic engagement meetings. A lot of folks don't have that, but if you don't have it, there's always someone that does. Really following the organizations that have endorsed or, some of these campaigns, because they always have something. And if you find something that you're passionate about, a specific cause, you can always Google it, because the internet is your friend, and you can identify if there's clubs or groups or any meetings that are happening within your area that you can attend and learn more.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're here at Movement School in the Bronx, New York, where people are coming together to learn. We're here with the participants in the Movement School happening in the Bronx, New York. Give us your name and tell us which session you just came out of.
I'm Marina Salazar, and I just came from the Healthcare Caucus.
Are you related to our elected official?
I'm not, but we have the same last name, Salazar. Go, go, go.
Talk about what happened in the session you were in.
In the Healthcare Caucus? Well, I actually chose that caucus because I am not as knowledgeable as I would like to be in that area, and I've learned so much just being in there about how we need universal health care, about how we need medical transparency, and just the way that nurses and doctors communicate to patients and things of that nature. We need access to medication. I mean, there's just, the list goes on and on and on, and there were some great voices in that room giving their opinions and their ideas of what to do to make change.
I heard you say a little bit earlier that this is your first time at something like this. Talk about what brought you here and what your experience has been as a first-timer.
Well, social media got me here. I was tagged in a post, and I immediately signed up and thought, this is where I need to be. I want my future to be bright, and I want everyone after me's future to be bright. And so I thought this was a good step in learning about making change, essentially. And I feel a little out of my element, but everyone is making me feel so welcome, and they're enjoying my voice. They're listening to what I have to say, and I'm learning about other people as well. So it's a really great, I just feel alive. It feels great.
Actually, that's really wonderful, because I think in our current culture and society, people are feeling fractured, they're feeling frightened, they are not feeling energized, they are buying into the rhetoric that because we have Donald Trump, we can't do anything until we get rid of him, and that's actually not the case.
Right, exactly. And I felt hopeless for so long, and I couldn't read the news, and I couldn't watch the TV, and I couldn't say his name. Voldemort. And I just, being here today and seeing all of these people and hearing all these ideas, it really is filling me up with a passion and a hope for the future that it is going to be bright and America will actually be great.
Now you said that you heard about this on social media, so I'm not here to trash social media. And there's a lot of social media activism that's been very effective. But what is it about being face-to-face with people that has you so bright and alive at this moment?
You know, I think you need to be with people. You need those live energies in order to really feel the power of the movement. You know, social media is wonderful in getting the word out there, and you know, a lot of people sign up for things or say they're going to do this, but it's actually doing it is what is going to make you actually do it. I mean, that's the only way to put it. Like,
I'm really excited about your energy, about being excited about it
too. I'm very excited. I'm very happy to be here. I can't wait I just want to be in this movement constantly.
Do you know what you're going to do next?
I don't. I after the presidential election, I went to college for the first time. I graduate in the spring from BMCC. Hey, holla. And then I'm on to, hopefully, Hunter. Cross your fingers. Let me in, Hunter. Let me in. And then on to law school. I want to learn everything.
Well, let me say, probably we've gone off track here, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't not do anything until then. Just stay active.
Yeah, those kids are already more woke than everybody on Fox News combined. That was pretty impressive. All right, so next up we got Piece by Piece back again for a second round. Here is Piece by Piece Productions, doing our art, doing our part.
At Movement School here in the Bronx, you just came out of a session. Give folks your name and what was the session you were in?
Well, my name is Hector, and I just came out of the Progressive Thinkers Caucus, I guess you could call it.
Talk a little bit about what went on there.
Well, we really were talking about progressive values and what that really means, and how we can organize people around a common core set of values, and how those values can be used to bring people together and to organize around the issues that affect us, such as healthcare, education, criminal justice reform.
And those were the progressive values that that were discussed?
Yeah, it was generally talking about how people can be galvanized by a certain set of morals and ideals that really a lot of people agree with, but are not usually given a name or titled something like progressive values, and how terms can sometimes put people off, but when you get into explaining what is meant by a certain term, people come to the realization that actually, oh wow, I agree with a lot of what you just said. I just never thought to self-identify as a quote-unquote progressive.
How did you get involved in Movement School?
Well, I volunteered on a lot of campaigns. I volunteered on the AOC campaign, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to her, but it's really, her campaign showed a lot of people that small incremental movement is not good enough, and that we all want these drastic improvements in what we call society, and that urge has brought a lot of us together and culminated in movement school. And I just saw this online and think it's exactly what this community needs right now, so that's how I got involved.
As you go out into your work, into your activism, how are you going to apply the things that you learned today?
Well, I'm really going to use it to tear down walls and to build a greater understanding amongst the everyday voter to know what is meant by progressive values, what are the morals, what are the ideals that...
Are you going to run for office?
I really hope so. Maybe someday. I'd like to, but no, maybe that's someday in the future. But for now, we're just trying to get the community together and trying to organize people around these issues to try to get these changes really implemented as soon as we possibly could.
Do you work with a specific group outside of Movement School?
No, I really don't. I'm just an individual out here trying to do whatever I can to make this world a little bit better.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be back at Movement. Okay. We're here at Movement School. Tell us your name and what session you just came out of.
So my name is Hussein Abdul, and I just came out of the Power Dynamics session.
Talk a little bit about what went on there and what are the takeaways from that session that people should know about.
So right now in that session is really it's being facilitated by us, the people involved, and we're talking about a bit of the power dynamics that are recognized in society. One of the things we're doing is identifying what they are, such as, let's say, an establishment in a campaign, or people of wealth, like social classes, and how this affects certain movements and whatnot.
Did anything surprise you out of that conversation? Aha moments?
Well, I guess what did surprise me was the amount of things we can say. I was thinking, like the things I just said just now, I didn't think that there were so many power dynamics that you can identify, but so many people have something to say, and it is true, there are different things that play a role in sort of power in making change and whatnot.
And what can you do with this information as you go out into the world?
So, in the same session, one thing that I realized is education is key, that once we're aware, once we're conscious of such things, then we can actually start and change it. So outside of this, we can identify who plays a role in certain things in our society, and then we can challenge those things if they put us at a disadvantage.
Talk about why you got involved in Movement School today.
I personally, that's a good question. So I wasn't always into, I don't know, politics, activism, all that stuff, but I took a class in college, a sociology class, and it made me, I guess you could say, woke. And so no, I was definitely conscious of a lot of things that set people like me at a disadvantage. I learned that life doesn't have to be how it is now, that it's not meant to be that way. And things like Movement School, this organization definitely puts us in a position and informs us that we have the ability to change how things are in our lives.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, we're here at Movement School. Tell us your name and what session you just came out of.
So my name is Hussein Abdul, and I just came out of the Power Dynamics session.
Talk a little bit about what went on there and what are the takeaways from that session that people should know about.
So right now in that session is really it's being facilitated by us, the people involved, and we're talking about a bit of the power dynamics that are recognized in society. One of the things we're doing is identifying what they are, such as, let's say, an establishment in a campaign, or people of wealth, like social classes, and how this affects certain movements and whatnot.
Did anything surprise you out of that conversation? Aha moments?
Well, I guess what did surprise me was the amount of things we can say. I was thinking, like the things I just said just now, I didn't think that there were so many power dynamics that you can identify, but so many people have something to say, and it is true, there are different things that play a role in sort of power in making change and whatnot.
And what can you do with this information as you go out into the world?
So in the same session, one thing that I realized is education is key, that once we're aware, once we're conscious of such things,
All right, man. The movement has a drum beat. Now, I hope y'all were dancing. I can't see you. I was dancing, though. And I'm really glad you couldn't see me, because it's not pretty. All right, listen. Movement School. Have you been bidding? Because there's art to be bid on. All right, now that's all the guilting I'm going to do. But, again, it's 281-545-7586. And you just text the artwork, the title of the piece that you want to bid on, and the amount you want to bid on. So, yeah. Okay, hand it over to Alana. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Woo! Sure. I'm going to keep this really short. But, y'all, thank you so much for coming out today. This means so much to me. So many talented people up on the stage, so much more to come. But just before we say our goodbyes and, you know, go our separate ways for the day, I just really wanted to say that it only begins now. Everything that we have done today is going to be built into a specialized local New York City movement school curriculum. So that means we're going to be hosting workshops, boot camps, different campaigns around issue advocacy work, talent shows, art auctions, you name it. Everything to bring us together as a community and fight for the things that we want to fight for. So, yes. So, again, thank you all so much. It is only the beginning, and I am so excited to be part of this movement with you. So, thank you so much. All of you guys come and get a quick group picture before we leave, please.
Let's put some lights.